Conventional wisdom right now says Hillary Clinton is solidifying her front-runner status on the Democratic side, but her smooth ride to the nomination could get bumpy if rumors of scandal resurface, and what do you know? They have. A new book out by a pair of Pulitzer Prize-winning New York Times reporters makes a startling claim. Back in 1992, it says, Hillary Clinton allegedly eavesdropped on the phone calls of her husband's political opponents. Some Republicans say that smacks of hypocrisy, especially since Senator Clinton criticizes the warrantless wiretapping of suspected terrorists. Trouble for Hillary Clinton? Well, now we welcome Associate Editor of The Hill, A.B. Stoddard, and the Politico's Josephine Hearn. This is an amazing story. At first, I kind of wrote this off. It's 1992. Who cares? Take a look at this. This is from the book I'm ashamed to say I have not read, I'm going to read, by Don Van Atta and Jeff Gerth, both formerly of the New York Times. And it says this. I'll just put a graphic up on the screen. This is an excerpt from the book. Hillary listened to a secretly recorded audio tape of a phone conversation of Clinton critics plotting their next attack. The tape contained discussions of another woman who might surface with allegations about an affair with Bill. Bill's supporters monitored frequencies used by cell phones, and the tape was made during one of those monitoring sessions. That's pretty... I mean, if that's true, that's not like tape recording a phone call, which I think you can explain away if you're on the phone call, you know, even if it's illegal. I think it's not an evil thing to do. But tape recording people's cell phone calls with a police scanner?
Right, and it looks like it is illegal, and was illegal then in '92. But on the other hand, she was just listening to a recording, right? She wasn't actually, it was not like she was there with the equipment, you know, as the phone call was happening.
No, that's fair.
She was just listening to a recording. So, you know, maybe, we don't know the circumstances of it. Maybe there was, you know, everybody was listening to it, and then, you know, would you incriminate the intern who was also sitting there listening to it at the same time?
I'm not suggesting that charges ought to be brought against her. I think you ought to pull, but no, I'm not. And I'm not saying, oh, it's huffing about its illegality. I'm just saying, having covered a lot of campaigns, some of them sort of intimately, I've never heard of anything like that. And I'm not just being mean to Hillary Clinton.
Never heard of illegal activity.
Oh, I've heard of a lot of illegal activity. I've heard of buying votes. I've seen a lot of things that are sketchy, if not outright wrong. I've never heard of anybody taping phone calls on a scanner, ever. Have you?
I haven't, no.
Have you?
No, I think that it's very tech savvy and it definitely is illegal. But I think that, again, Josie's right. Are you going to blame Hillary Clinton for listening, or are you going to get the guy who did the recording for the Clinton camp? I think any one of her rivals, given the opportunity in this very same situation, would listen if offered a recording like this to know what was coming. And any wife whose husband runs around is probably going to do the same.
I would listen too, absolutely. And I'm not faulting her for listening. I'm faulting the campaign and the Clinton operation and the culture around the Clintons for being so hardball. So it's the same impulse that led them to tell me personally when the Monica thing broke that Monica was like a whore and a stalker, which is what they told me. You know what I mean? There's a meanness and a toughness it's too much.
Why would you run a campaign where somebody would feel it was okay to do this?
Right.
You know, why would they? Yeah, I think it's a big deal if somebody decides to investigate it. I mean, it's 15 years old.
Yeah.
I think lacking an investigation, I don't know, it seems pretty tenuous right now.
Well, the Clinton people seem to think that. They don't appear worried about it, because here's what Clinton's press secretary said. Asked for comment, he said, I'm quoting now, "We don't comment on books that are utter and complete failures." In other words, we only comment on John Grisham novels. That's the only thing we're going to talk about. What does its sales numbers have to do with the truth or falseness of the allegations?
Nothing at all, but I mean, if you're him, you don't want to admit anything on this. Apparently they never challenged anything in the book at all.
Right, that's what the authors said.
They've known about it, obviously, since before.
Well, just to be clear, these are not two guys from the American Spectator. These are, in at least one case, I think, a pretty well-established, at least former liberal. I mean, they're not screaming right-wingers.
And we're all guilty of not reading the book right when it came out and discovering this for ourselves.
I'm embarrassed. You know what? I didn't read it for the same reasons a lot of people didn't. I just feel like, what could you tell me new about Hillary Clinton? I spent the entire 90s, you know, writing about this stuff. But I guess there is a lot new. But my strong sense about Hillary Clinton is people don't want to know. They don't want to know. They don't care.
Well, the people who support her and have decided to overcome their discomfort and support her, and there are a lot of them, and that number's growing, probably don't want to hear about it. It'll be interesting to see what she says about it if she's pressed. But for Republicans, they have to work with what they have.
They don't have squat. I mean, if this were about...
But they'll take what they can get.
If this were a story about Rudy Giuliani from 1992, it would lead every show on MSNBC today. There's just no question it would. I mean, you know it would. Rudy Giuliani using a police scanner to listen to people's cell phone calls? Holy smokes, man.
It's not clear that it was her
campaign. If it was Bernie Kerik working on behalf of Rudy Giuliani, I'm not just claiming media bias. It's more complicated than that. But would that not be a story?
It might be true.
Could he get away with saying?
Anything about Bernie Kerik is a story these days.
All right, we're going to